It's Kara here. This is me after editing the video. I was just thinking, I really wanted to make my point across, and I want to start it just in the beginning of the video, which is, I feel like this is really important. So Signature Force is a really impactful thing in the game, and it's something that can be screwed up. Like, you can potentially like really mess up here. It would have massive ramifications for your account. And what I mean by that is, in game, how Signature Force works is, I just want to be very clear. The conditions here, it says Transcended Shufraken 1 or higher. That's just the start of it. You don't need to crush in a Transcended Shufraken for this mechanic. That's all you need to unlock it. So for example, I had a Shufraken that was Transcended, and then what I did is I waited for my third Shufraken that was unleveled, not Transcended, and then crush that Shufraken in there. This is just mainly for your extra Shufrakens after that single Transcended Shufraken, that first one. Also, obviously not just for Shufraken, it could be for Janai's. This same concept applies for every single version of these characters that is applicable in Dorka, Shufraken, and Janai. I just wanted to make sure that point was hammered home. Also, I wanted to make sure that people know about this, because transcending is an option. People just automatically assume that they transcend their characters. That's the way to go. That's built into the game. But what if you happen to have a transcended Janai, Shufraken, or Dorka, and then you don't know about this, you don't realize how impactful this is on your account, and then you end up transcending your third Shufraken, or you transcend the other one, or you go the other way and you think, oh, I have to get rid of my transcended Shufraken for this, when you don't have to. Both of those scenarios are massive consequences for people, and I really want to get that information out there, because this is one of the non-clickbait, super important, don't make this mistake videos I can make here. And I'm just going to make this, PSA announcement when it comes to this, that this is, if there's one thing to take from this video, it's that, so you don't screw up your account, because how they value these characters and how rare these characters are. Some people are just not going to get these characters again free to play. Also, I've had comments of people saying like, oh, I had a fusion and then I ended up transcending the fusion, or not unequipping it, or unequipping a fusion. And then, there's a whole bunch of potential mistakes in this game. It's not very clear, so I get it. I understand why people make those mistakes. It's not like you're a bad player or whatever, or you did something stupid. All I care about is just there's massive ramifications for this, so I want to get this information out there as obvious and upfront as possible. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kara with another Exos Heroes video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Signature Force. And Signature Force is a new piece of content added in patch 2.0. And what it did is it added, for the 6 generals, we have Rachel, Bathory, Janai, Garf, Shufraken, and Dorka. And then for 3 out of the 6 so far, they've activated. What it is it's an upgrade path for these particular characters. I wanted to wait until I actually had a character with Signature Force before I did this video, just to really get a full idea. There's always a lot of translation issues and stuff like this with this game, so actually have it on the account and see where they're actually going with this. The requirements are to have it, like for example, let's say Shufraken. This is going to be for North Von Frosty. These benefits are going to impact all characters from North Von Frosty. And the best way to, from my experience, to see which characters are in that North Von Frosty group is going to be going to the craft book in the Door of Creation. And then, for example, we're doing North Von Frosty. So this is Shufraken's recruit. We click expected rewards, and all these characters here are going to be impacted by Signature Force. And when you really start to see exactly how many characters are going to be impacted by this, it makes sense why the requirements are so steep. I'll get into where I think they missed the mark on this here in a second, because this is definitely a controversial add to the game, and rightfully so. These are going to be all the characters. So you'll notice a lot of these are really good characters. So for example, obviously Shufraken, Valentina, specifically FC Valentina, Ramsh, every single one of these fated characters, they're all really good. FC Lepin, Digos, Reed Marie, Brooke, like pretty much all these characters are good. It's almost better to just find characters that are not good. Iris even. All these characters get Signature Force from North From Frosty. So you're getting a massive investment on, even if, let's say, even if you had to crush your Shufraken, it's almost like borderline worth it, because you're giving not only so many characters, but so many good characters too. That's not necessarily true based on like the other ones that are active. For example, here you get these, fire characters here. Look at this. If you not only have to pull, you have Dorka, Transcend Dorka, and then you pull your third Dorka, essentially you're just upgrading your Dorka, which, playing against that is not fun in PvP, let me tell you. But it's, the massive difference in value you get from one to the other is pretty stark. And then lastly, we got Janai here. These are the ones active. Let's just go over these really quick. These are all the characters are going to be for Janai. I can see Jin he's already solid. You got Adams here. Definitely not on the same level as Northbound Frosty, but a couple okay characters. Kaya, Wilkes, Yao. They're all usable. Sable, stuff like that. Okay. So then now that we kind of know what we're impacting here, let's look at the details of what it is. Here's the first one. And this is true for all of them. It's not like based on each signature force, like each type, they have different effects. It's all damage, but the type of damage is going to be different. So for example, on Shufraken, we added 4,900 damage to our every time you use 1 mana. And then this figures when you consume 1 mana, as the number of mana consumed increases, the elemental damage increases, reduce damage for area effect damage. So not only are you adding 4,900 damage to each mana you use, but it's going to go up like per mana on top of the move already. It's already a pretty crazy damage increase to so many characters, and that's just for one. And then the next one is going to be a 15% attack, defense, and HP increase for all these characters if you have 2 or more Northbound Frosty nationality heroes in your party. And then here's where it just gets crazy, where you're just adding defense and HP to like Valentina or defense and HP to Shufraken. This is just nuts. But mainly it's going to be this first one. I see a lot of people in like higher end arena. A lot of people already have signature force on their characters, but that's pretty much how it works. At first, I really hated this, and I still do not like that this is the game. I'd rather they just remove it. There is something I do want to say that I feel like with one change, they can actually make this kind of forgivable. I'm glad that I'm making this video now instead of a couple days earlier. The video I just released, the new core raid came out, and then they are adding farmable Janai, farmable Shufraken. So having that in there is really good. Especially, yes, these characters are very rare, but what I'm trying to say is they're making these characters significantly more accessible than they were before. Before, like I said in the video, it's pretty much just either pure luck or these selector tickets after a massive amount of whaling would be required. Whereas now, the Exos pass has a selector. You can farm them in the core raid. Ever since this patch has come out, they've made these characters massively more accessible. So with them, asking a ridiculous amount of characters here, or specific characters like a ridiculous amount of Shufrakens, Janais, whatever you're trying to go for, they are making it more accessible in either pay to play or free to play ways, which I do like. And then also I was thinking about it. I was like, I really thought this was super, whale harder type mentality thing. If you're going off of the previous like expected rarity of these characters, thinking back to raid when it comes to duplicates, like it's been 18 months, I believe, 18 months, 2 years or whatever since that game has come out. And they've always had an issue with legendary duplicates. And for frame of reference, legendary characters in the game are about as rare as these characters, like as in Shufraken. Because in this game, like you can have multiple fated characters like Chadi and Shufraken, for example, but Shufraken is on a totally another level when it comes to rarity. These characters being incredibly rare, they should carry a weight to them. And thinking back to raid, they have nothing for duplicates. Whereas in this game, they have transcending, but transcending really doesn't feel good. Like I really don't mind transcending, Chadi or that level of a character because they're pretty common. Like if you're pulling, you're going to get that fated character a decent amount. But these characters like Rachel, like I've never pulled a Rachel except the one time in the very beginning, never pulled a Garf. I had to do a selector for Garf, stuff like that. Like these characters are really impactful. So especially if you're free to play or if you're a light spender and you only have one of these and then you pull another one, having to transcend them is real feels bad. Whereas Signature Force could be a really good solution instead of transcending only on these characters that they deem worthy. It would have been an amazing thing to be like, oh, okay, yes, you pulled a duplicate. Yes, that's a bummer. You can't use them. But Signature Force is such a big benefit to your account that you would be excited if you pulled let's say you had Shufraken. You would have been excited if you pulled Garf, Bathory, Janai, or Dorka, but you got unlucky and pulled your second Shufraken. Instead of transcending, since he's such a good character, you'll get Signature Force. And I think that's fair. Like at least the entry level one. But the big thing that makes it really annoying to me is that they make the initial requirement a transcend. Like you have to transcend Shufraken and then the third one. I don't like that at all. I think it really defeats the purpose, and this could have been, they really missed the mark on that, in my opinion. Even with all the good things I was saying where they've been making these more accessible and stuff like that, having to have the first one transcended is a real bummer, in my opinion, because pulling two yes, it's really rare and it doesn't happen often, but I think it's reasonable for how powerful this effect is. Pulling 3, I don't think that's reasonable. I think it's too much. And so that's kind of my big thing about it. I think it potentially could have been a really cool thing for this game. Because at the moment, like, I've fully transcended a lot of characters, but I never even got to use it. Like, I have a fully transcended Andy, fully transcended like a lot of characters, but they're all level 90. Like, I've never even got to use it. Essentially, I've just got 5 duplicates of Annie that I've never used. She's level 90. This would be the max level. Yes, there's the elemental enhance nowadays that does take transcending, but that was, a later add-on, I guess, is making that not feel as bad. But for a character like Annie, I think that's a reasonable expectation. For a character on the level of like Dorka or Garf or Shufraken, I think this pulling a duplicate of them would really suck if it was just a transcend. So having Signature Force is mostly a good thing, but like I've been saying, that one requirement really ruins a potential good mechanic that they added to the game. I wanted to explain how I felt about Signature Force before I go into actually showcasing Signature Force in the game. I want to get feedback on like what people are thinking about Signature Force, because not that I can do anything. I don't have any contact with the devs. I don't know. I'm just curious. So let me know in the comments below. And then let's actually get into gameplay. I feel like I've done enough talking about it. Let's actually show off exactly what this is, because I think for PvP, I think this is really oppressive. Damage is already too high anyway. I was excited about Awakening, adding massive amount of survivability to people's stats and then making the PvP matches a little bit more interesting. But then Signature Force goes the other way and adds so much damage to these characters that I'm just one-shotting people easily with it. So we're right back to the issue of getting one-shot by raras every game. It's just annoying that damage is so high in PvP. In PvE, on the other hand, I really like this because PvE is pretty hard. Adding this feature to all these characters makes things a little bit more interesting, because you have all these breakstones here. Whereas now, for example, Shufraken's adding the Signature Force is a 4900 damage, but it's lunar damage, and it's adding that on to whatever character. So I can do like mixed damage now. So I can take in Valentina, cover lunar and blue. I can take in Iris here, and I can cover yellow, and I can cover lunar. One thing I haven't tested yet that I want to test is if I do the elemental enhance, will I be able to break 2 stones with the Signature Force? Or can I only break one? Do I break 2 stones with the yellow because she's Iris, and then I break 1 stone because Signature Force only breaks 1? It doesn't count for your elemental enhance. I don't know. That would be really cool to find out. If anyone knows, let me know down in the comments below. Especially when it's something this hard, I think it adds a lot of strategy potentially. A lot of this is just about breaking the Guardian Stones, but then now I can take in different characters. Like, for example, I was having issues with this, I don't know, hypothetical situation where it's like, I really want to bring Iris, but I'm forced to bring in Rams or something like that, or Shufraken, or, someone that has lunar because I need to be able to break lunar. But now I can just bring in Iris, cover all of that because of the Signature Force. I think that's really cool. That adds to the game and is not toxic. What is toxic is adding so much damage in PvP with Signature Force when damage is already an issue to begin with. And then, so this one's a good example. We just need light and dark. And then also we're up to normal on this. It makes a massive difference on how easy this is. This content, I know it's really hard, it's really difficult, and then the combat power required to get it from like normal to very hard, or very hard to normal, looks crazy. And it used to be something that I would never even consider. It's like, oh, this is impossible. Like, I'll never get it. I thought it was like artificially forcing it to be hard for you, because it was like, oh, here's this unreachable combat power number. But they have methods in the game to slowly increase. So I think it's one of those things that if you have the characters for it, by all means try it, and then if you could beat it. But waiting until you have good enough combat power to just get it in normal, or when you have better characters, I don't think that it's that big of a deal, because it's just not enjoyable content when you're at very hard. I think they mean it that way. I wish they would be more clear in their intentions in this content. I feel like how hard this content, I like that they've given us the ability to get these rewards now, but for how hard it is, without any upgrade paths, especially when it came out, they should have just like waited. They should have just waited, and then like, okay, here's all these new things. Here's this really hard content. Look forward to it. And then we would kind of connect. We'd be like, okay, I need these things to beat this. Whereas how it was like, all right, here you go. It's super hard and no ways to improve, no ways to upgrade. Kind of crazy. I remember when I first did this was like a big pain, but here, let's hit this guy here. Cause I think these guys dodge. They have this weird dodge mechanic if you're not hitting him with the right type or something like that. We got the fire character here. Boom. Hit this guy. Oh, look at that damage. Literally deletes him. Crazy. And then you see the passive. You see this moon here. That's the passive. We're going to do it. We're going to hit it. Boom. Light character hitting that. And then see the proc. So the delayed proc to hit that. And then now we're going to hit this guy. You need to use mana for this. Let's just see how much damage we do. Even if we're not even breaking them, let's just see the extra damage, because it's every single mana is going to moves like this. Burst moves like this are really good with Signature Force because they allow you to use all of it. Whereas most moves is, you're stuck with 3 mana move, and then you're only getting to take advantage of 3 mana Signature Force. Whereas with her, she has a burst move, so the move is already doing 750%, but then it's forcing you to use all your mana. So this is by far I want to say this right now is the hardest hitting move entirely in the game, especially when you add Signature Force on top of it. So here, let's hit it. I didn't really see how much damage that did, but that's actually pretty good for this area. And then here, let's actually go here. Let's do the AoE. So you can just see all the procs. But I just want to kind of give you guys an idea. When it crits, it doesn't really show that it's specifically Signature Force, but very, very useful. Just having the extra damage on there. You can imagine, the next tier, all the stat increases, stuff like that is going to make a big deal in your characters. And then being able to take characters, like for example, it's going to allow you to change your comps. Like for example, Lepin is normally seen as a character that's purely a support character, but here I can take her in, and then she's actually pretty scary. She actually does decent damage, which that's one of the pros of Signature Force. Like they actually implement reasonable ways to get these fated heroes to use Signature Force. There's going to be a whole bunch of more theory crafting that can be added to the game because of this feature. Here we go. So this team right here really highlights Signature Force, and I'm literally changing my strategy because this is Signature Force, because all these characters benefit from it. I really like this team, actually. This is just good synergy. You got Shufraken, and then you got the trio here with Shufraken, Ramj, and Valentina. And then Valentina is essentially, I'm going to be doing a guide on her because I think a lot of people are let down on her for PvP, but I think she's actually incredible for PvP. It's just, you got to make sure your team really benefits her. Also, I think she benefited from Awakening because she just needs to survive, and she gets a lot more survivable with getting awakened either with Machine or with a red set. And then once you start to actually get fated gear, it's really going to help her. Okay. And then also the big thing too is you need to have a good supporting cast to break the summer passives, because you just got to assume that they're going to bring a character like Iris that has the frost resistance. So I think Reed Marie is perfect for this because she's really fast and she has a 1 mana AoE, so she clears it. And then if essentially the whole point of the comp is to you either win with Ramj damage. If Shufraken goes, that's going to be a ton of damage. But the big thing is if Valentina gets to go and actually use her move, it's pretty much game over because you just wipe out all their mana. And she does a ton of damage because of Signature Force. So here, now enough talking. Let's actually get into the gameplay so you can see exactly what this is. Next, here we go. Signature Force on deck. All 5 of these characters have it. Okay, so first character is going to be Dorka goes first, and then we got Reed Marie is going to go. And we got Summer Blessing, but see, notice how one of these people already got hit by the Anastasia, so it broke that. So here, now we're going to see some damage with Ramj here. We're just going to hit all 5. And then, boom, as you're seeing, all the purple is the actual Signature Force abilities here. And then now this is where damage gets crazy, because you got not only Signature Force, you got the synergy with the Ramj passive applied with Shufraken. So you just do a billion damage. And then lastly here, let's see if anyone is immune. I think he's still immune, but I don't believe Lepin is. Lepin's a little too high health. Yep. And so then now she's dead. We don't see the exact numbers there, what it would have been. We get to close it out. And I don't know if I have more defense than him, but I think that was kind of a cool thing to show. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this video. If you have any questions or comments or opinions about Signature Force, let me know in the comments below. And with that, you guys have a good one. Peace.